There was no obstruction, and President Trump has nothing to hide. The same cannot be said for the high-ranking FBI, DOJ officials, just the upper echelon, responsible for the witch hunt against the Trump campaign. Remember, codename Crossfire Hurricane, not the innocuous midterm report. Today, major news, the Attorney General Barr vowing to hold him accountable. This is key. And what the Hill's John Solomon is calling, quote, the single-sentence Russia bombshell that Barr delivered to Congress today that very few in the media picked up on. But this is crucial. Take a look.
The Office of the Inspector General has a pending investigation of the FISA process in the Russian investigation, and I expect that will be complete probably in May or June, I am told. More generally, I am reviewing the conduct of the investigation and trying to get my arms around all the aspects of the counterintelligence investigation that was conducted during the summer of 2016.
And now reports tonight Barr will form a team to review the FBI's actions during the so-called phony collusion probe. The pendulum is swinging. The boomerang is now headed right back to the top. Deep state actors, they will all be held accountable. Mark my words, criminal indictments are coming. And as we have reported, Congressman Devin Nunes is preparing criminal referrals as we speak for this very week. Freedom Caucus Chairman Mark Meadows saying that even more criminal referrals are on the way because of, quote, overwhelming evidence of abuse of power at the highest levels of the DOJ and the FBI. And we will be getting the Inspector General's report, as the Attorney General just mentioned, and the FISA applications against Carter Page and the results of the FISA investigation in the Senate. And at some point, we'll also be getting the report into leaks by John Huber. And we'll also be getting the 302s. That's the transcripts between, let's say, Bruce Orr and Christopher Steele. We'll get those from the FBI. We'll get Gang of Eight material. And thanks to Congressman Doug Collins, even today, we will be getting all of that closed-door testimony, those transcripts from all the key deep state actors. And as I said, make no mistake, the evidence revealed will come cascading down on those guilty of corruption, bias, abuse of power, and I promise it will drown them. And today, Collins, in fact, the congressman from Georgia, released testimony from James Baker. Remember, he was Jim Comey's #1 lawyer. He was the general counsel at the FBI when Comey was the director. And his remarks on Capitol Hill that were just revealed today behind closed-door testimony, it literally reveals the extreme bias, abuse of power that took place, that we've been telling you about at the highest levels of our government. Look at this. Look at his remarks. James Baker was quite worried pro-Clinton political bias was affecting the FBI's investigation into then-candidate Hillary Clinton. Thanks to John Solomon, we also know, and I expect we will have confirmed tomorrow, that Baker later testified in a different closed-door hearing, Hillary Clinton's misconduct was alarming and appalling. And Baker said this, and it's key. He believed that Clinton should have been indicted with crimes, the Espionage Act. All these liberals concerned about obstruction of justice. Well, there was intent when Hillary deleted emails and acid-washed her hard drive. We have in the testimony of James Baker today the exact date that they used bleach pit. But of course, he was talked out of it by his boss, Jim Comey, and a few others. And that's not all. This testimony released on Baker today is revealing what is rampant anti-Trump bias inside the highest levels of the FBI, not rank and file. It's what we've been saying all along. We've been right all along. The chosen candidate, Hillary Clinton, got a free pass. We have a dual system of justice, no equal justice under the law, no equal application of our laws. Trump, he was politically persecuted. They wanted him to lose, and then they had an insurance policy when he won. And Baker testified he was, quote, alarmed, and listen to this, freaked out when he saw the anti-Trump text between FBI investigator Strzok and FBI lawyer Lisa Page. Remember, Strzok was writing the exoneration with Comey in May before they ever did the investigation, and he was the one that interviewed Hillary Clinton. He also revealed, meaning James Baker, that Hillary Clinton's bought and paid for phony Russian dossier, it played a serious role in the FBI's investigation into Trump. But we now know Clinton paid for it. They knew it then. We know it wasn't verified. It wasn't corroborated. And the author, well, you can't verify something he would never stand by himself because he doesn't stand by it. So in other words, there would have been no probable cause to investigate the campaign without Clinton's dirty Russian dossier. But of course, Baker actually read the dossier, he admits, prior to the election. That came out today. He had a personal relationship with one of the attorneys from Perkins Coie. That's the law firm that the Clinton campaign funneled the money to so they could hire Fusion GPS, an op research firm, to then hire, of course, Christopher Steele, that then used phony, uncorroborated Russian dirt to impact an election. How ironic. And Baker admitted that he was the intermediary between Perkins Coie and the FBI. Baker also, in this new information today, admitting he had contact with the reporter, left-winger David Corn, prior to the election about the dossier. And he said Corn, a left-wing activist, was anxious to get the dossier into the hands of the FBI. What does it all mean? That Comey's top lawyer, the #1 lawyer at the FBI, the general counsel of the FBI under Comey, James Baker, knew about rampant pro-Hillary, anti-Trump bias inside the FBI to impact an election to favor one candidate over another. And by the way, they did nothing to stop it, even though he believed crimes were committed. And that same attorney, James Baker, was in close contact with Clinton's bought and paid for law firm. And by the way, was being fed the dirty, totally phony dossier from multiple sources, including a member of the media desperate to stop Trump. This is the United States of America. This is not a banana republic. And there's more. Baker testifying in this new testimony we just got today that after Trump became president, the Deputy Attorney General, who appointed Robert Mueller, Rod Rosenstein, well, he was seriously discussing a plot to remove the president under the 25th Amendment. And in a separate incident, Baker alleging that Rod Rosenstein offered to wear a wire and spy on President Trump. Baker testifying that it was a very serious offer and that Rosenstein wasn't joking. What was revealed from today's release, it should shock the conscience of every American to their core. Let me put it this way. They tried to influence an election. And then when it didn't work, they tried to remove a duly elected president. Now, this damning evidence showing rampant abuse of power and corruption, it should be on the front page of every newspaper in this country. It is not, because the rage Trump media mob is complicit in what is a major cover-up of a deep state coup that threatened the very fabric of this great republic. And now tonight, because of Judicial Watch, Tom Fitton will join us later, we are finding out even more devastating information about how the deep state protected Hillary Clinton before turning their forces against Donald Trump. This is also a huge development just out today, and we're going to break it down for you. The Freedom of Information Act request by Judicial Watch from 2016, well, today bore fruit. It forced the release of 422 pages of FBI documents surrounding Platte River Networks. Remember Platte River Networks? That's where Hillary, the mom and pop shop that had her server in a bathroom closet. Remember that? Well, one government official who was reviewing a batch of emails on the server wrote, quote, "I can say now without reservation that there are literally hundreds of classified emails in this collection. 18 U.S.C. 793, violation clear of the Espionage Act." Because she continues, "I'm very concerned about the inadvertent release of the State Department's equities. When this collection is released in its entirety, the potential damage to foreign relations of the United States could be significant." Pretty much admitting that foreign actors got a hold of Hillary's emails. This is all coming out today. Now, get this. FBI notes of an interview with an unidentified Platte Rivers Network official. This took place in February of 16. It shows an email from December 11, 2014. Hillary's wanting to run now for president, reading, quote, "Hillary cover-up operation, work ticket, archive cleanup." Cover-up operation. Then they go further. They actually give the exact date that they used the bleach bit to wipe the server clean. And the official being interviewed stated that the cover-up operation email, quote, probably related to change to 60-day email retention policy backup. But we know now that just a few months later, Platte River Networks downloaded the BleachPit from a vendor source called SourceForge at 11:42 a.m. Hang on, March 31st, 2015. What was happening then? Oh, the Democratic candidates were debating, trying to get the nomination. Wow, perfect time to get rid of all this. We know the exact second she obstructed justice in this case. That was after the deletions, prior to the beating up of the devices with hammers. BleachPit used on her server. Let's sum this up.